I have more to say about cults, it turns out. So I often get invited to like join cults. Like someone will send me a link about some group that is doing some things, and they're like, "I think you'd really love this. I think, you know, it's about what you're about." And I'll go and I'll be like, "This is a cult," and they don't know it. And but what is it that makes my mind kind of label it that way? Is usually that there are a lot of opinions that are being construed as facts about how the world is, and I can see that like that's something else might be true there. Have you considered? But there's just this certainty about knowing how it is, what's true, and it's just my preference. What I prefer is a place where it's like, what else might be true, and what else might be true, and how I'm thinking and seeing things and perceiving the world and perceiving myself, how might that be limiting possibilities for me, and how might I be avoiding responsibility either by blaming others or waiting for someone else to like change the circumstances of my life so that I can have different results. And what else about that? Yeah, this invitation without this realization. Yes, and about how, again, going back to how modern culture is like the biggest cult with the most members, and how as a cult, it's as a culture, it's also a game world. And all of these other cults are game worlds. Like I would call them game worlds because they have rules, they have like ways to start playing the game with the game players, ways to leave the game, but a lot of this context in a like a what I would call maybe an unconscious game world that makes it culty is that the rules are not clear, and the people playing them, a lot of the people playing them don't know the rules, and so then they become pawns. Then they become like like victims really often, or or they become the ones that others can take advantage of in this cult, in this game world, in this context. And this is what I see rampant in modern culture, that a lot of the rules are are not known by a lot of people, but even the ones who kind of are thought of or seen to be making the rules, there are rules that are governing them that they're not aware of, because in a way each person, each human is its own game world, and there's a purpose that, if you say to someone, what's your purpose, and they'll be like, well, da da da, and you're like, what's your real purpose? And you're like, are you asking me twice, that kind of thing. But then you go, no, I really want to know, like, what is your purpose? And people are surprised about how they hear themselves answer such a question. And and then there's the purpose that is becomes obvious if you go down the layers, and then there's like, okay, what's your shadow purpose? What's your hidden purpose? What's the purpose that you're pretending not to have, or that you have but you don't want to have, and that you see coming through in some of your behaviors and your ways of dealing with people and handling life. And these are all things that, if those kinds of questions aren't being asked in in a game world, I just don't want to play in that game world, because why? Oh, wow. Because then it's me. I'm avoiding the responsibility of like declaring, like, from my perspective, telling how I feel, how scared I am when people are following rules that they aren't even really consciously aware exist or that they're following. And ooh, just busting myself here, aren't I? Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, computer. I wonder if anyone will watch this. I hope so. I'd really love to hear what people think, what you have to say, what you feel, mainly what you feel. cult of conscious feelings. That's the cult I'm wanting to lead. Well, I'm not leading it. I'm following some people. They're way ahead of me. And here's another thing about modern culture is that in modern culture, when you have new thoughts that you're sharing, new perspectives, you're a thought leader. But when you're feeling about it and when you're like more animated or energized by the power of your anger and your fear and your sadness and you're not just like doing the whole I'm fine thing with this false kind of joy, uh, you get called a cult leader, not a thought leader. Thought leader is great. They're advancing all the great stuff in modern society, modern culture, whatever that is, right? Whatever that is. And yeah, so that's another like thing I'm seeing. It's just all about things I'm seeing, some of my feelings about it, and yeah, reflections welcome.